Zimbabwe, really, the opposition is doing whatever it can. And this didn't only start happening with the MDC. We know what happened to ZAPU. We know what happened to other parties that came subsequent to ZAPU. I think, ZANU really is pushing for a one-party state, and they are doing everything in their power to pretty much, eliminate all opposition parties.
So under those circumstances, briefly, what should the opposition do to actually press the government on certain matters? We've got COVID-19, we've got a lot of things that are not going in the right direction. What should they do, briefly?
I wish the opposition had, financial ability to actually start, having their programs, not waiting for the government to chip in. If we had an opposition that had finances, I don't know where they can get the finances, and start actually having their own programs. They cannot be called unpatriotic because they are anti-corruption or they are not submitting to certain decisions that are made by the courts. But, they have to keep trying. I don't know what the formula is for them to be able to actually participate and, move the country forward. I mean, I will not, if I were in their position, I will not submit to, a stolen election and then say, hey, let bygones be bygones, because it is suiting the ruling party.
Yes, thank you so much, and hold on there. Let's go to Mr. Mlalazi before going to Dr. Nkululeko Sibanda. Mr. Mlalazi, do you think the opposition is playing its watchdog role in Zimbabwe? Briefly, Baba.
Not at all, Baba. I want to quote something that Mr. Sibanda of the opposition and the gentleman for the ruling party of Zimbabwe. They mentioned a country like Malawi and a country like South Africa, but I've seen those leaders visiting Zimbabwe and refusing to meet the opposition leaders. Do you think they're being used, or they are being told not to? Or, Nina, I mean, opposition, you are not saying what is meant to be said about politics. So, if you look at South Africa, for instance, a political party, a opposition, like a young political party like EFF, they are saying one thing that the leaders, the heroes of Africa, we've been saying from the beginning, they are fighting for abantu abamnyama by united. So, what Trump has exposed to Africans, nama opposition parties, they learn this system when they go cry babies. They will go to election. They're predicting what you are going to be cheated. Basically, after that, they cheat you. They will be crying all their way to the next election, doing the same expecting the different results. So, I'm saying we want to see the opposition going to our border post, going to attend the people of the problems about women, protecting a woman like Makupe, men protectable, not saying, oh, so not what they should be protecting our kids as a Messina. We want to see Chamisa going to Messina and meet those kids and selling those vehicles that donate to Lavana. They only will see that body leader. They are going to change Africa. It's not going to be possible because they failed. So, Abantu, leaders like Malema was the one Africa's one leader that will confront hunger and starvation and diseases are fakwa. Amar racist America. If you look at Abantu the America, America, was the but how come aid is ravaging Africa and not doing that the same thing in the United States of America? So those are the things that we want a leader like Chamisa will be talking about. We want a leader like Mnangagwa will be talking about. Africa were hungry. People are not earning anything. Imagine a profession like, say, for instance, a doctor or a teacher, for instance, yet we have got leaders that gallivanting with expensive vehicles. The opposite leader we want to resolve those things. So, from January to December will be saying it's unfair.
Thank you very much. Marvelous. Maybe let's go to Dr. Sibanda.
Aiwa regaitende kuna vaSibanda mopindura zviri kutaurwa navaMlalazi.
Look, I'm genuinely shocked because it's not just the level of incoherence, but it's also the level of untruth. I mean, the gentleman starts off with a claim. I mean, every claim is made. He wants President Chamisa to go to Messina. Like, which other politician does that? President Chamisa must do things that have never been done by anybody. He says that the South Africans came here and they didn't want to speak to the opposition. That's what's shocking about that, is that it's not true. You know, the South Africans came out and said, we want to talk to the opposition, but we've not been given permission to do so. We will try to come back another time, because they were told not to speak to the opposition. When President Ramaphosa sent his envoys, he said they should speak to everyone. And they set up meetings, and then they were told, no, your envoys are only Zanu PF. And this is not something that's a secret. This is something that they had a press conference about. So I'm wondering where this gentleman, this nice gentleman, speaks very gentle and amazingly, where he is getting his facts.
You know, this is a newly elected leader from Malawi. He came, he visited any presidential or official visit in Zimbabwe. Did he meet you?
They don't do that when they come on a state visit.
I've seen Chamisa on hard talk saying he met Trump. Did you meet Trump?
Look, I allowed you to interject. Let me finish. Okay. The fact of the matter, my brother, is when Trump comes to America, he doesn't meet to Britain. He doesn't meet the leader of the opposition. He meets the government of the day. You don't expect President Chamisa to do the impossible, something that's not done as per protocol. These are international protocols. It is the people, like the envoys, that were sent to study the Zimbabwean situation, that you would say, oh no, why did they refuse to speak to the MDC? In fact, they asked to speak to the MDC, right? After they asked to speak to the MDC, they were refused permission to do so, right? So for you to then say they didn't,
right?
And then to make expectations for President Chamisa that you would never make for anyone on earth, that are outside the norm, is seriously inappropriate and very unfair. And I hope that you can revisit that position, because it makes an impression that is not correct.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sibanda. Let's bring in Mr. Ndibali. Chipping there briefly.
Yeah, opposition. As opposition, we must stop to be crybabies. We must stop creating an environment that seem to mirror the very Zanu PF that we want to defeat. Because if we've been governing local authorities, doing that in a corrupt and with impunity, we cannot hold Zanu PF accountable. Most of these guys who've been in MDC for the last 20 years, they must retire because they are crybabies. We must engage robustly, without fear, engaging Zanu PF, engaging anyone. By now, MDC must have made a number of reforms. They were in government of national unity. There were still crybabies within that government. They are still crying babies today. They are still crying babies. So we as Zimbabweans, we must get to a point now where we say, you know what, this MDC crybaby thing we must do away with it. We must bring new politics where a leader can step aside and allow other leaders to come forward and lead better. Look at MDC. Perhaps even, in MDC, if they were clever, they will have other leaders coming, working, with comrade Chamisa in a genuine way, because that party is so much a mirror of Zanu PF. A number of them actually are sellouts. You know, a number of them are not even genuine to the very leader that they speak of. You know, they are sellouts. So we must get rid of those people in opposition, new opposition parties such as the EFF Zimbabwe, that is talking about one Africa, borderless Africa, socialist policies in a manner that will move the economy from the hands of the few corrupt to the hands of many across the country. A party that does not tolerate tribalism, whether it's done by Ndebele, Shona, Kalanga, tribalism in our party or sexism, any ism in our party we do not accept, but we've seen MDC flirting and talking to tribalism. Look at what their chairperson in Bulawayo has just been doing in Masocha, and they did some flimsy investigation, yet there is a young man who is crying, who is wounded, and they are playing games with that.
Maybe, Gibbs, if I can just interject there before our guest goes. Are you then saying you are planning to also be running in Zimbabwe as EFF Zimbabwe?
We are running in Zimbabwe. We've been in an election twice. We are a fully registered political party. We've been alive for the last 4 years. There is EFF Zimbabwe. EFF is across about 13 African countries. It is a revolution. It is a party that will, a revolution that will unite Africa, that will see a borderless Africa. We will see no Beit Bridge. We will see no Chirundu. We will see no Kazungula. We will see no borders in Africa, because we believe that Africans, we are one. Africans, we must not apologize to anyone. We must not suck up to America like what MDC is doing. We must not be twerking to US, to America, to Canada, or anyone else. We must be uniting Africans. The African continent must come first. Our resources are ours. Land is ours. We must not compensate anyone, because our ancestors were never compensated. Cows, donkeys were taken from them. We will not apologize to anyone.
Thank you, Mr. Mujuru. Let's go to Mr. Mujuru.
Yeah. Can I say something briefly too?
Mr. Mujuru,
yes. I want to answer. There's a gentleman who said earlier on that Zanu PF is on an agenda to have a one-party state. I mean, that can be far from the truth, honestly. I'm going to say a couple of things. Zanu PF's main responsibility at this particular time is, number one, to govern, because we are the governing party. Number two, it's not our responsibility to organize or structure opposition parties. That's not our job. Right now, our primary concern is that the president has got the weight of the office that he carries every day. The weight of the office requires us to create jobs, requires us to go forward. You cannot drive a car looking backwards. This is why we don't engage in conversation that constantly make us look backwards. We want to look forward. We want to come to this platform so we can start having conversations that are progressive in terms of our economy, in terms of agriculture. It's about to rain right now. We've got a nation to feed. So for us, when it comes to these conversations, this is what we want to talk about. Let's sit down and let's up our game. Let's up our conversation. Let's talk about things that make our economy better. Those are the conversations we're looking for. These other hearsays and stuff like this really don't serve our nation.
Right. One question, Mr. Mujuru. How can you describe the opposition right now? Just less than a minute.
Well, it's not my place to describe them. But like I said earlier on, it'll be a good place if they, for example, if they had accepted when the president offered the leader of the opposition in the party, so we can start engaging in these conversations we're talking about, so that our country can go forward. Ultimately, that's what we want. But it's not my place to describe them.
Thank you. In less than a minute, Dr. Sibanda, can you chip in there? Just less than a minute. Our time is up.
Well, look, I think that's just a word of caution to Mr. Mujuru. Be careful. There is a more powerful Zanu PF commissar in the discussion today. I mean, I don't know why he's calling himself EFF Zimbabwe. He sounds more like Zanu PF than Zanu PF itself. And I think that
do that. Come on, no, don't do that. Talking about things that are Zimbabwean, that do not pander talking to US does not make me Zanu PF. That is not right.
Zanu is already doing that. Zanu is already saying the things you're saying. Just join them and make them stronger.
Now, I think we've come to the end of the show, but
doing things already being done.
Maybe let's give Mr. Mlalazi a chance.
MDC is the DA of Zimbabwe. We will make sure that you guys, you know, you.
How big is your membership? Just for information.
Our membership is huge, madam. Our membership is huge. And he knows, the Comrade Sibanda knows that their structure is ready. Recently defected to EFF and the Comrade Coupe. He knows that. We are big and we are doing programs on the ground. We do not compromise on land. That's why Zanu PF, we are standing toe to toe with Zanu PF. We will not accept that Zanu PF act as if they own Zimbabwe. They don't own Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is owned by us, Zimbabweans.